Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my September TBR game, which will be featuring Bookoplathon. Becca in the Books is doing a special kind of readathon throughout the month of September called Bookoplathon. It's basically Bookopoly, but with a special board that she has created. I'll go ahead and show a picture of the board right here. So it has a special board with a bunch of different tiles, and it's the rules of Bookopoly, a TBR game that quite a few booktubers play, which is basically playing Monopoly while rolling two six-sided dice and determining what genre or what prompt they have to do for the book. So she had come up with special prompts for this readathon that she wants to do. She's done it a couple years now, I believe. I'll leave her channel description down below. And yeah, so she wanted to do it for the month of September, and I already had an idea for what I wanted to do in September. I wanted to kind of change my TBR game slightly. If you don't already know, I run a TBR game myself. It's called TBR Side Scroller. If you want to check out the rules and check out any of my previous games, I think I've played 2 of them so far, you can go ahead and check out the playlist that I will link down below. It'll have a few of the videos that I've already done for it. But I wanted to do something a little differently this month because I am going to be going to school and I'm going to be pretty busy, so I wanted to just make this game a little bit easier for myself, and not necessarily the books that I'm reading, but just how I'm choosing them. And I originally was just going to do a random number generator of any of the books that I have in my library, not just from my TBR shelf, but from any of the ones that I haven't read, or even the ones that I have read, kind of like a reread kind of situation. I was going to originally do that and just do like 3 or 4, but then when I found out that Becca in the Books was going to be doing a special readathon for the whole month, I was like, you know what? I want to do it. I want to participate in it. I'll get my TBR set up, and worst case, I just don't end up finishing it this month. But I still kind of want that challenge, because I should have at least some free time to be able to read still, and I really want to try and make that a priority. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with it. I just wanted to go over a couple things. If you want to know the rules for this, for Bookopoly, for the Bookoplathon, go ahead and check out the link down below as well. Go ahead and link the announcement video that Becca had put together describing all the rules and all the different prompts and what each of the different tiles on the Bookopoly board do, like what they mean. But I am going to be changing up the prompts only slightly. So there are 2 different kind of tiles that I could land on that would involve something other than just prompts. There's the community shelf, and there's also the chance squares. So for the community shelf, originally she had it so that there was a list of prompts in these like little cards for community shelf that you would have to draw, and you would have to fulfill that prompt. Instead of that, I'm going to go ahead and play my own TBR game for that, because it is a list of prompts determined by rolling a d20 or rolling dice. And so I'm going to be going ahead and doing that for the community shelf if I land on that. If I land on a chance card, I'll go ahead and do what I originally wanted to do for this month, which is to randomize a number and go with whatever book that random number is. The only thing I will say is that if it chooses a book that's in the middle of a series, I'll read the first of that series, or whatever book I'm on in that series. Now, I won't read like the 5th book of the Game of Thrones series, or whatever it might be. So I'll go ahead and do that for those. And then for the TBR game square at the corner, I'll go ahead and choose a book that is in someone else's TBR game, preferably one that I already own. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started with it. So as I described, I have to roll 2 6-sided dice to be able to determine my placement on the board. I don't have a physical board with me, but I do have it on my phone, and I will have it up on the screen here, and I'll show you kind of where my placement is. We are starting on go, and I'm going to be rolling 5 times. If I get doubles, though, I will have to add another roll. Okay, so I have the board in front of me, and I'm going to go ahead and roll my first roll. So I rolled an 8. I rolled a 2 and a 6. Okay, so that put me at gods. So for gods, I have to choose a book that has to do with gods. It has to do with some sort of like, either specifically a god, kind of like a retelling, like Greek mythology kind of retelling, or it could have to do with someone that has a lot of power, like is a very powerful individual. Okay, so I figured out the book I'm going to read. It's slightly having to do with the prompt. I don't know actually a lot about the story itself, but I do know that it is a retelling, a Greek mythology retelling. It is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I've been wanting to read this for months now. I've had it on my TBR cart for quite a while. I got it from Book of the Month, and I've been really wanting to read it. Actually, I got it in May, And so it is a retelling. I do know that some of the gods are involved within the story. I don't know if it's really like the main point of the story, but I think that this would be a really good book to kind of, I don't know, to kind of work with. So the description says, Ariadne, princess of Crete, grows up greeting the dawn from her beautiful dancing floor and listening to her nursemaid stories of gods and heroes. But beneath her golden palace echo the ever-present hoofbeats of her brother, the Minotaur, a monster who demands blood sacrifice. When Theseus, the prince of Athens, arrives to vanquish the beast, Ariadne sees in his green eyes not a threat but an escape. Defying the gods, betraying her family and country, and risking everything for love, Ariadne helps Theseus kill the Minotaur. But with Ariadne's decision, ensure her happy ending. And what of Phaedra, the beloved younger sister she leaves behind? So yeah, this definitely does have a lot of the gods in it. It has the Minotaur involved. I remember hearing about that in some descriptions from other YouTubers that have read the book. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to finally get a chance to read this. And it's not too long. It's about 290 pages or so, shouldn't take too long to be able to read through this. All right, now I'm going to roll for the second prompt. Okay, I got a 9, so that was a 4 and a 5. And that's a community shelf. So like I had mentioned, a community shelf, I'm going to go ahead and play my own TBR game. So for that, I'm going to roll a D100 to see what prompt would that fulfill. Okay, so for the community shelf for my TBR game, I rolled a 36, and 36 on the prompts table is most recent purchase. So that means that I have to read the book that I had just recently purchased. It is supposed to be the one that like was the very last one that I had bought. I think I know which one that would be. Okay, so this one didn't take too long for me to decide because I've been really excited to read this book. I heard about it months ago, and I've had it on my like want list for a very, very long time, and I finally got it. Technically, it was for my birthday. I haven't actually bought a lot of books recently, so this is actually quite a few weeks back. But it is one of the last books that I had bought, and I'm really excited to finally read it. It is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. It's going to be a very easy, quick read. I'm very excited about it. I just love the cover of it as well. I mean, if you can see, like, there's the girl and then there's hands. I don't know if it can... Yeah, there's hands on the binding stenciled. It's a really beautiful cover. I'm really excited about it. I know it's contemporary. The description says, Jane and June are nothing alike. June is 3 years older, a classic firstborn narc with a vile finance job and a soulless apartment, according to Jane. Jane, on the other hand, is an emotionally stunted, self-obsessed crybaby who lives in squalor, has egregious tastes in men, and needs to get her ass to class, June's words. Once thick as thieves, these sisters, who moved from Seoul to San Antonio and finally New York, don't want anything to do with each other, until June gets cancer, and Jane becomes the only one who can help her. Flung together by sickness and bound by family secrets, will the sisters learn more about themselves and each other than they're willing to confront. I am really excited to finally get to read this. I've heard it's a little sad. I've heard it's really exciting to read. And yeah, I'm really happy that I'm finally able to read this. I mean, you would think I would be since it is a very recent purchase of mine. Okay, on to roll number 3. Okay, I rolled a 10, so a 4 and a 6. Haven't had any doubles yet, which is good. Okay, so this one is last color. So for this prompt, last color means that the color of the book that I just recently picked up, I have to find another book that has that same color. So Yolk is primarily yellow, so I have to find another yellow book. Okay, so I was kind of between 2 books, but I think I'm going to go ahead and decide on this one. It's another contemporary, actually, so it's going to be really easy for me to be able to get to this book while I'm doing other schoolwork and stuff. It is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. I read the Kiss Quotient about 2 or 3 months ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was so much fun. It was actually the second book I have ever read of a book of the month, which was really cool. And I'm just so excited to finally get to a chance to read the second book. I know it kind of follows the same kind of a theme as Kiss Quotient, and I actually just recently bought her third book that she's ever wrote, and I got that book of the month as well. So I'm really excited to be able to get to this finally so that I can read the third book. I know it's technically a series, but it's not actually following the same characters, so you don't necessarily have to read them in order, but I kind of want to anyway. So for The Bride Test, the back says, Kai Diep has no feelings. Well, he feels irritation when people move his things or contempt when ledgers balance down to the penny, but he doesn't experience big, important emotions like love and grief. Rather than believing he processes emotions differently due to being autistic, he concludes that he's defective and decides to avoid romantic relationships. So his mother, driven to desperation, takes matters into her own hands and returns to Vietnam to find him the perfect mail-order bride. As a mixed-race girl living in the slums of Ho Chi Minh City, Esme Tran has always felt out of place. When the opportunity to marry an American arises, she leaps at it, thinking that it could be the break her family needs. Seducing Kai, however, doesn't go as planned. Esme's lessons in love seem to be working, but only on herself. She's hopelessly smitten with a man who believes he can never return her affection. Esme must convince Kai that there is more than one way to love, and Kai must figure out the inner workings of his heart before Esme goes home and is an ocean away. So I'm actually excited about this. It also has kind of like POC rep, honestly, like just like a different form of culture, and it also has some rep for autism, which I know that they had touched on with the Kiss Quotient, and I know that the author Helen Huang also struggles with that. So she kind of like puts her own real life experiences into her stories. I know that's like a really big thing of her writing, and I love that with Kiss Quotients. So I'm really excited to be able to read the Bride Test and see kind of how it compares, if it's better, if it's just as good. Honestly, I'm really excited about this. Okay, on to roll number 4. Okay, that's a 5, so it's a 2 and a 3. Fingers crossed that I still don't get doubles. Okay, this next one, I think it's funny that I got this. It's POC rep, so I have to find a book that has POC rep in it. Someone that, you know, an author that is of color, or at least characters that are kind of very much in a certain culture. It's funny, I would have actually picked that one for that, but I'm gonna pick another one. Okay, so the book that I chose for this prompt, I'm actually really excited about as well. I was very tempted to pick the third book that Helen Huang had wrote, like I was talking about, and to kind of just be like the continuation of that series. But I really want to try and make this as diverse as possible, and I'm actually really excited that I was able to figure this book out. It is Severance by Ling Ma. I am so excited to read this one. It's actually it's funny because it's a dystopian book with a virus epidemic basically like going across the world and making people like isolate and have like a lot of deaths and stuff, and it's very close to what we had experienced with COVID. And actually a booktuber of mine had read this during 2020, and so she was kind of feeling triggered a little bit by the fact that she was reading a book very similar to like what she was experiencing during that time. And so I'm really excited to finally read this because I love dystopian books, and I'm really excited to like see how this compares to a lot of other dystopian books that I've read. And it's definitely POC rep because Ling Ma is from China, and I think that she definitely uses some of her like life experiences in a way in the story. I don't see a description to read, but I just know that this is a really interesting book. So I'm really excited that this is going to be the book that I'm reading. Okay, and on to the last roll number 5. Okay, another 5, so it's a 2 and a 3. Alright, so of course, the last prompt is a little bit more challenging. It is big book. So I have to read a book that is more than 500 pages. Okay, this did not take long for me to pick either. I actually picked it from my most anticipated bookshelf, and it is just barely over 500 pages. It is Middle Game by Sean McGuire. Ro from Wandering Through Worlds has been hyping this book up so much, and I've been really excited to finally get a chance to read this. I might even do a special book review vlog for this book. So thank you, Ro, for talking about this several times and saying how much of a like amazing book it is. And this will be my first Sean McGuire book also, so I'm really excited to finally get dip my toes into her world and her writing styles. And I've heard just so many good things about this story. So the back says, meet Roger. Skilled with words, languages come easily to him. He instinctively understands how the world works through the power of story. Meet Dodger, his twin. Numbers are her world, her obsession, her everything, all she understands. She does so through the power of math. Roger and Dodger aren't exactly human, though they don't realize it. They aren't exactly gods either, not entirely, not yet. Meet Reed, skilled in the alchemical arts like his progenitor before him. Reed created Dodger and her brother. He's not their father, not quite. But he has a plan, to raise the twins to the highest power, to ascend with them and claim their authority as his own. Godhood is attainable, pray it isn't attained. And I've heard this has a lot of like timey-wimey stuff involved in it. It's very like, you don't understand what's going on most of the time, but then like things start to click as you read it. I'm so excited to finally get a chance to read this, and I had also got this on my birthday, so I'm really happy that I'm finally finding the time to actually sit down and read it. Okay, so that actually was a pretty good list of prompts actually. I think it was very widespread as far as like the different prompts, the different types of authors that I'm picking, the different genres and book sizes. I tried to keep it as easy as I could because again, this month is going to be pretty challenging. Although if I do find that I finish these books and I have time for 1 or 2 more books, I am going to actually continue playing on that board. I am leaving my token on Big Book prompt, and I'm very close to being at the go again. I probably would actually pass it at the next roll. So yeah, I will continue playing the game if I end up getting to it, and I'm gonna try not to read any other books other than these. The only other book that I could see myself reading without necessarily playing the game is Through the Whispering Wood or Through the Whispering Door. I can't remember exactly what the title is called. It is another TJ Klune book that I'm just so excited to read. It comes out in September, I believe September, I don't know, middle of September. Yeah, no, I'm just really excited to finally get that book as well. It's one of my anticipated books for the rest of this year. So I may read that one, or I might save that for October or November. But yeah, I think that is about it. I'll go ahead and show you the books that I have for the prompts. So these are the books that I have for the month of September for my TBR game. And yeah, I'm really happy, like I said, about them. Like some of them are going to be really easy, quick reads. The Sean McGuire one I'm just really excited about because again, I want to try and make that a special reading vlog video. Yeah, I think that is about all that I have for this video. If you liked this, please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you want more content from me. I'm sorry that I wasn't playing my TBR side scroller game this month. Again, I want to try and take a break from it for a month or 2. I have a very special plan for the month of October, so look forward to checking out that video. They'll be coming out at the end of September. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.